Hello and welcome to the Cat Scrappiness YouTube channel. My name is Lynn, or LV Handcrafted, here on YouTube, and today I am so excited because I get to introduce you to this new stamp. It's called Simple Sentiments Valentine. And what's fabulous about it is that it is a single stamp that will actually stamp out all 24 sentiments in one go. So it's amazing, and this is wonderful to just stamp out in maybe a couple of different colors, and then keep a small stash of this so that whenever you need a sentiment for your card, you can just pick one out from here. And now, even though the sentiment stamp set is called Valentine, there are a lot of sentiments here that are going to be useful all year long. And in fact, I would say that there's really only a couple that are very, very specific to Valentine's Day. So, Be My Valentine is really specific, but you can imagine pretty much everything else being usable all year long for a lot of different occasions like anniversaries, birthdays, engagements, wedding, etc. So there's even some that are just very all occasion, like just a note, which you can use at any time. And so it's really, really lovely to get this sort of variety that can work all year long, and the convenience of being able to stamp once and get a boatload of sentiments. So let me show you, if you are opening this for the first time, this is brand new, not ever out of its packaging. And what I'll do is sometimes sentiments, stamps that are large like this, you might need to prime them. Now, I don't always prime my stamps, but in this case, it's a really good idea to do that. And there are a lot of different tips and tricks for priming your stamps for the first time. And once you do it the one time, it's good to go, and you don't necessarily have to do this step a second time. And the reason for that is because in the manufacturing process, there might be just a bit of residue that is on the stamp, and so by priming it, we kind of get rid of that residue. So I've just lined it up on my piece of white cardstock here. I'm gonna just very simply stamp this with some black ink. I'll close my stamp positioning tool, which I do recommend using. There are a lot of different stamp positioning tools on the market, so whichever one you have that reliably allows you to stamp multiple times in the exact same location, feel free to use that. It is helpful, especially if you are stamping this out for the very first time. You might want or need to stamp it one or two times just to really make sure that everything gives you that nice crisp look that you're looking for. So what do we do to prime this stamp? Very simple. If you don't have any of the following things I'm going to bring on camera, you can just actually wipe over the stamp with your finger, with your hands. That in and of itself is going to help remove any manufacturing residue on the raised areas, so basically where the sentiment is. Other tools that you can use are a gum eraser or a white eraser. So I'll just go ahead, and this is great. It removes anything that's kind of tacky, and same with your white eraser. It's going to just help to rub off, doesn't damage your stamps at all, and it's just going to remove anything that might still be there as part of the manufacturing process. And you don't necessarily have to, but you can just take a cloth and wipe that down just so that you don't have anything from either of those two products clinging on. The other thing that you may already have in your craft room, if you do any sort of heat embossing, is you might have a clear Versamark ink. And another way to prime your stamps is just to, you don't have to, it doesn't have to be perfect, but just to tap on a little bit of that Versamark ink. And that will help to prime your stamp too. And again, if you want, you can just gently wipe that off as well. And with our stamp nice and primed and conditioned a little bit, we can go ahead and make our first impression. Now, you're not going to have to do any of that a second time. So now that all of that manufacturing residue should hopefully be gone, it's gone for good. And you don't have to worry about it again. But that just helps you to kind of set yourself up for success if you're stamping for the first time with a new stamp set. This is just black VersaFine Onyx black ink, and I'll go ahead and ink up the entire stamp set. And that's the beauty of a stamp set like this. This large stamp, which is 4x6, it's gonna give you 24 sentiments, which is amazing. The only thing you want to be sure of is to, when you're inking things up, just to really make sure. It can be hard with such a wide area to maybe miss parts of it here and there. And that's why the stamp positioning tool is going to be really helpful, because if I missed any spots inking it up, I can always re-ink it and stamp again. Okay, there we have it. So you can see, first time stamping it ever, and it's stamped beautifully. Now that everything is stamped out, you might be wondering, well, how do I use these sentiments if they are all on the same sheet like this? Well, there's actually a previous set of simple sentiments, and that was our first release in this line. So here's that first set of stamps, all stamped out, lots of amazing different sentiments for different occasions, for all year long. And in that bundle with that 4x6 stamp set is a coordinating die. This die allows you to cut out all 24 sentiments in a single pass. Look how perfectly that lines up. And by no coincidence at all, the same die will cut out the Simple Sentiments Valentine stamp as well. So look at that. In one go, you can get all 24 sentiment banners die cut out with that really lovely professional die cut edge. And it can't be any easier to stamp and die cut a ton of sentiments. But what if you don't have this original set? Well, it's still available in the shop, so if you'd like, you can still purchase it. So that's one option, is to go ahead, if you don't already have it, pick up the Simple Sentiments stamp and die set. But if you wanted, because of how this stamp has been designed, all of the sentiments are in line with one another. So you can actually just cut these into strips yourself if you wanted. So you can use whatever trimmer you'd like, or you can use a craft knife with maybe a steel ruler, whatever your favorite trimmer, paper cutter is. You can just easily cut these down. So what I'm going to do is take a moment to line this up. I don't know for certain that when I lined this up to stamp that it was exactly square on my piece of paper. So what I'm going to do is, as I go to trim it now, I am going to try to line up the stamped sentiments with my trimmer. And once I have that first edge started, And if it looks pretty straight to me, then I'm just going to trim all the way around. And that way I have nice, neat 24, 90-degree angles all the way around. And everything is all squared off. And next, all you need to do is just trim each pair off one by one. So there you have a pair, and then now I can just trim in between the two. So that gives me my sentiments. There's a little bit of extra that I can trim off on both ends, or if you prefer, you could even maybe add some fishtail ends to these too. So by trimming it yourself, you have some different options. You can maybe do something like I was saying, a little fishtail end on the banner if you'd like. And that kind of gives you a different look. You could also do, sometimes I just do just a nice little diagonal. Something like that. So hand cutting is always an option, and it's easy because you'll just trim off each row of sentiments. So that's another great way, and that gives you even more options for the shape of the banner that you'd like. But certainly, if you wanted, you could line up your die. There are these registration corner marks that you can use these piercing holes to line up. Those will go right in the center of those plus signs. And once you have it lined up, you'll see that you get a nice even border all the way around each individual sentiment. So then you can run this through your die cutting machine. Okay, so I've run that through my die cutting machine, and you can see the sentiments are just dropping out. The die cuts beautifully, and look at all of these sentiment banners ready to use on cards. It's great to just keep these in your stash, and that way you have them ready to go whenever you need to make a quick card. So that is the Simple Sentiments Valentine. It coordinates perfectly with the original Simple Sentiments stamp and die set. So do check that out as well if you'd like to get even more mileage out of this stamp set. I'll leave links to everything in the description box and in the product bar below. As well, what you'll also find down there are the original Simple Sentiments stamp and coordinating die if you want to check that out as well. Thanks for joining me today, and until next time, happy crafting and have a fabulous day. Bye.